a wider issue is now blowing up around education. With the Education and Training Amendment Bill number 2, which has snuck in a clause which says, and look, we all thought, didn't we? We all thought that this government had changed things because New Zealand First had said, let's remove all references to the treaty, principles of the treaty, out of regulation and such like. But could something be worse? Yes, because under this piece of legislation, all schools in New Zealand, school boards, are required to give effect to the Treaty of Waitangi, whatever that means. Is this treaty principles by any other name? And why can't we have a government that definitively abandons ethnic separation? To discuss this, we're joined now by video link by Don Brash from Hobson's Pledge. Don, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sean.
Is this Education Amendment Bill with this clause give effect to the Treaty of Waitangi, which would apply to all school boards in New Zealand, does it concern you?
Oh, it's an appalling situation, Sean. I first learned about it actually on the platform with your colleague, Michael Laws.
Yeah.
Interviewed Elizabeth Rata, who's worked extensively on the education curriculum with Erica Stanford. And she pointed out the very serious flaws in this legislation. Michael Laws pointed out, I think, that it was one of the most serious things this government has done to date. And it's not just that they talk about the principles of the treaty. The bill, as it's currently drafted, mandates that all schools in the country give effect to Te Ao Māori, Mataranga Māori, do their best to...
And Tikanga Māori.
And Tikanga Māori, and do their best to provide instruction in Te Reo Māori. Now, there may be some parts of the country where that's helpful and constructive, but for most part of the country, it's absolutely daft.
In fact, I'll tell you what, I found a quote this morning where Erica Stanford talked about our bilingual education system.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is nuts. And I feel actually very sad because Erica Stanford had done some good stuff in terms of improving the curriculum of the school system, particularly in English and maths. And she makes that claim, and she's right. She's made some significant improvements there. But this is a gigantic step backwards. And I'm utterly appalled.
All right, what can you do to stop it? I suppose just take this clause or take anything about this out of the Education Act?
Well, the whole clause should go. I mean, take the clause out and it substantially improves the situation without a shadow of doubt. And why she hasn't done that is beyond my understanding, given, as you said earlier, the commitment the government made, the National Party made, with the New Zealand First particularly, to remove references to the principles of the treaty from legislation.
Do you think it's possible, really, that the National Party is just as woke, I'll use that term, Don, on these issues as Labour or the Greens as anyone else? Because it appears when push comes to shove, they're not interchanged, really.
Well, certainly this particular bill would suggest that very strongly. I mean, it's an appalling indictment on the National Party and on Erica Stanford in particular. To allow that clause to continue, she makes the point that it was there before, but two comments on that. First of all, that's no excuse. They said they'd get rid of it. But secondly, and equally, not equally bad, certainly badly, they've elevated this to a matter of prominence, of importance, priority. It's a part of the mandated requirement for all school boards.
Could it not be said, though, Don, that giving effect to the Treaty of Waitangi is an obligation under the Treaty of Waitangi, and this is the right thing to do?
Well, of course, I think that's absolutely nonsense. The treaty is a very simple document, as we all know. It requires nothing about the education system in 2025.
So, okay. Then how do we change? And look, Erica Stanford's come back to this. I didn't put it in there. That's her excuse.
Well, pathetic excuse, Sean, with respect. Pathetic excuse. She was going to get rid of it, or the National Party was committed to getting rid of such stuff, and she's actually not only not got rid of it, as I said earlier, she's actually made it now a priority for the school. for the
Oh,
boards.
but this is because, Don, for 20, 30 years, New Zealand has been just quietly going through a revolution, which is people going off to varsity and learning about decolonisation and everything else. And they've become bureaucrats and they've become middle managers and they've become marketing executives and in advertising. And really, it might just be, Don, that more people now believe in this claptrap than don't and get outraged by it. Isn't that actually the kind of point in history where we're at? There's so much vested interest in this gravy train, and it's been going on for so long.
Yeah, and it's indeed a real possibility. And are we therefore going to accept this nonsense, or are we going to roll over and
Well, democracy might say that we do already.
Well, that's true, but it's my democratic right and the democratic right of most New Zealanders to say we don't want this crap.
All
and
right.
I think most New Zealanders don't. When asked, do you want a racially divided country, most New Zealanders say no.
Mm. But I think we have a Prime Minister and we clearly have an Education Minister who don't see anything wrong with this. Aren't even entertaining the idea that there's something wrong with this.
Sadly, that's right. Sadly, that's right. And I mean, I feel it personally because I actually asked her a question once at a National Party function some years ago about partnership and all this stuff. And she alleged that she did not believe in that stuff.
Yeah. So that's kind of talking with a forked tongue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don, have you heard anything about this Kura Kaupapa sending all its staff off to Tahiti for a holiday?
Only from the platform. Yeah.